Hello there, Matt here with my third recent vinyl video. My buying slowed down a little bit for the good because I need to pay for rent and school and stuff, so I don't have quite as much as I did last time. So to get things started, Sonic Youth is one of my favorite bands, and I have several of their more recent stuff, but I didn't have any of their first 4 albums. And luckily for me, they just reissued all 4 of their first albums on Original Recordings Group. They're remastered and available on colored vinyl as a bundle, all 4 together. They were selling them on the official Sonic Youth web store website, so I picked up Confusion is Sex. That's their debut album, and that was on white vinyl. And their second album, released in '84, I believe, is Bad Moon Rising. And these first 4 albums from Sonic Youth are really noisy. They were kind of part of the no wave scene in New York. It's on orange vinyl. They're probably not my favorite albums from Sonic Youth, but they are still really, really good stuff. And a good purchase if you're a Sonic Youth fan. Then we have Evil, their third album, on a kind of pinkish red vinyl. And Sister, one of their most acclaimed, from '87, I believe. And this one is Purple Marble vinyl. So again, those are available as a bundle, all 4 albums for $80, which I think is an okay price for all 4 of those remastered, really nice pressings. So I'm happy with those. Next up we have 3 EPs from the artist Fluxion. This one is the Inductance EP. I believe all 3 of these were released in 2008. Fluxion is a dub techno producer from Greece. This is the Perfuse EP. And this one is the Waves EP. On the A side, all 3 of them feature singles from one of his albums called Perfused. And on the B sides are remixes by people like Deadbeat or Rod Modell. Rod Modell is one of the, in my opinion, one of my favorite dub techno producers. And Fluxion stuff is really dubby, deep, techno, very atmospheric. He's also done some ambient stuff, so if you're into really atmospheric techno, I recommend checking that out, Fluxion. And those were released on the Danish label Echo Chord. I get most of my stuff online just because we have a couple record stores in this town that I live in, but I've had a hard time finding stuff that I like there. But I just went back there the last couple weeks and actually was able to find some good stuff that I wanted. So I think I'll be going there more often and buying less online. But one of the things I picked up was R.E.M's The Reckoning. R.E.M's another one of my favorites. I previously had Murmur, but I didn't have any of their other 80s albums. Or I actually only had Accelerate, I think, and Murmur. So I decided to take the next step and get this one. It's a remastered edition just released last year, I believe, and it's really great. It sounds really great too. I also picked up Radiohead with the bends. Radiohead is a really personal favorite for me. They're the reason I am into music as much as I am. I heard their album Hail to the Thief first, back in 2003, and when I heard that album I just knew that I needed to find some more music because I just loved it so much. The Bends isn't my favorite, but it's one of the... I have all of them besides the Bends and Pablo Honey, so I decided to pick that one up. Unfortunately, the reissue, this is a reissue on Capitol Records, the pressing doesn't sound quite as good as, say, R.E.M. I thought this one sounded great. This one didn't sound quite as good. I just bought a new preamp, which has an adjustable level here, and I can play these records through these Grotto headphones that I have, and the headphones are really great. And when I heard this album, it just sounded amazing with those headphones, and I put this one on, and it was just kind of disappointing, to be honest. But it is still a great album, I think, worth getting if you're a big Radiohead fan. This one is a repress from Fat Cat Records. It's Animal Collective's Here Comes the Indian, 2003 album. Animal Collective is one of my favorite bands from the last decade. They make really psychedelic, folky kind of music that's really upbeat and just really fun to listen to. Here Comes the Indian. This one is Sanso-Xtro. It's an electronic kind of ambient-ish album. It was recommended by a web store called Boomcat, and it was kind of an impulse buy. I did take a listen to it and I enjoyed it, so I think I'll keep it, but it was somewhat disappointing. I heard one of the songs before purchasing it. It's called Hello Night Crew, and it featured a female vocalist. It sounded really nice. I wish the rest of the album was more like that song, but that was my favorite song on the album, so it was a bit disappointing, but I think I'll keep it. This is Let England Shake by PJ Harvey. PJ Harvey is another of my favorites, and this album is actually maybe one of her best. It's really, really great stuff. Just released this month, I think, last week, a couple weeks ago. It just came in last week, and I have to say, at the end of the year, this is probably going to be in my top 5 albums of the year. The songs This Glorious Land and England are just incredible. You should check those songs out. Get this album if you like PJ Harvey, it's great. Another one I got in the record store I've been visiting, R.E.M's third album, Fables of the Reconstruction. I think this is actually I don't know which way is up, but this is where the record comes out, so another great album from her. And last but not least, definitely not least, this is the Books Lemon of Pink. It's their second album, just remastered and reissued on Temporary Residence, which is the label that put out their album last year called The Way Out. This one is on yellow and black colored vinyl. Looks really nice, sounds great. Their first album was called Food for Thought, or Thought for Food actually, but that really describes what their music sounds like pretty well. It's made up of mostly samples, but also some organic instrumentation, guitar, and they mix the two, the samples and the guitar, really well. It it's hard to describe, but it really gets your mind working, and Thought for Food or Food for Thought is a really great way to describe what their music is like. That's the Lemon of Pink. And that's all for the new stuff, but I want to say a bit about this album. This is Gas, this is what's playing right now in the background, and this is probably one of my top 10 most prized pieces of my collection. This is not Unfern. Gas is also known as Wolfgang Voigt, or Vogt, I believe it would be pronounced in German. He released 4 albums in the late 90s, made of ambient, techno, and the track that's playing right now, this is a compilation featuring edits of each of his 4 albums. So it's 4 sides because he released 4 albums. Right now the track is from Königsforst, and it's just incredible ambient